Wormsgrove, Skata's lair. What lies inside of it? And will we survive what's in there? There's only one way to find out. So far, so good. Dead bushes. Old bones. Living drakes. Well, fortunately nothing as large as Skatha, though I can only hope that something large as Skatha doesn't pop up in the middle of this battle. Now, there aren't too many large dragons left in this world, and I have a feeling that Kremil is the only one in this vicinity. Though, of course, this chamber doesn't exactly look suitable for Kremil, but who knows? Well, is that the remains of Skatha? Maybe. But there seem to be parts of Skatha all over the place, if that's the case, because I suspect not just one of those piles belongs to Skatha. Well, we also have, unfortunately, all sorts of dragonkind in here. More fighting against these nasty monsters. And are there any clues in here about what Karasgar did and what he's up to? What's up ahead here? Ooh, my. Ooh, that's quite a horde. Well, it looks like some of Skatha's horde is still here. I suppose that's good to hear. Now, where did my friends go? Living quarters. This must be where Karaskar's hideout was when he was in the north. Well, how about that? Oh, a note? Hardship and prosperity. To me? Pine leaf. It would seem that you have finally stumbled upon my true lair in the north. I find it unsurprising that you would be the first to discover Wormsgrove, for I consider you a formidable opponent. The other hideouts you have uncovered mere decoys to appear careless in my adversaries. I am sure you knew that already. I do find it fitting to make my home in the north over the plundered horde of Skatha, the dragon I could not tame, the dragon that cursed me so. There is no need to search for me here. I have left the north to rot. The Frost Horde and the dwarves shall do more damage to each other than I could have ever dreamt up. I wander east to search for a cure. Until we meet again, Warden. Karasgar. Karasgar. Headed to the east. Well, unless, of course, he's lying or something like that. I mean, what? Karasgar tell a lie? Ha! Who would believe that? Well, it appears that Karasgar is no longer in the area, and that his business is done here.
Only one question remains. What happened to Rothblada?
Yes, Rothblada is still missing after all this. I hope to find it among Karasgar's belongings. Alas, this has not come to pass. I will surmise that Karasgar took Rothblada with him when he left north. We know that he had held respect for that sword. Well, I saw a sword in a treasure pile back there. Maybe we could check that out, see if it's Rothblata. All right, let's go check it out. Is that Rothblata?
By Durin's beard, we have found it!
We have found the lost hoard of Scatha, the worm. I'm stunned, my friend. I never thought I would see this piece of history with my own two eyes. Would you collect some of the treasure for me so that we can bring them to the Longbeards as proof of the lost law hoard has finally been found? King Thorin will be pleased. Well, I suppose I could collect some bits of it. I must admit that all this gold is rather heavy. And we have that. And we have... Now, how's Thorn to know that this is from Scatha's hoard? Well, I don't know.
To think that we have been able to renew the legacy of From the Foremost.
Even so, I consider From's legacy in his lords of Valthuda was brought to a proud conclusion with Theudric. Theodric proved the most beloved lord of the Althuda since From, and his reign lasted longer than any lord during their time in the Wells. He threw back no fewer than 5 incursions by the orcs of Hilthaglir.
Aye, Theodric was seen well in the eyes of dwarf sages.
Theodric befriended King Thorin, and even gifted him some of the treasures From had kept from Scatha's hoard.
My friend, I cannot thank you enough for your company on this journey into my people's history.
That's correct, Frothy. Theodric even sent riders south for the first time in generations to attend the court of Steward Belagorn in Gondor. Under his rule of 62 years, the Althuda prospered as never before. My friend, I can't thank you enough for your company on this journey into my people's history. If not for you, I would not now be returning home to Rohan, ready to pen the history of the Rohirrim. I shall give you credit where credit is due in my writings, as you made some of the historical discoveries that I will write about within the pages of my manuscript. Frothy, Pineleaf, I thank you both deeply for your contributions. We shall see each other for a time at Anarkerfu. Then we shall part our separate ways. Please, you are more than welcome to come visit me at any time in Rohan. Take care, my friends. Take care. Take care. Now, I guess it's time to get back to the front, or at least to the base. Now that I'm back in a place of safety, if you could call any place within 100 miles of Freemill as being safe, I can now read this latest journal page that I found. Gloaming, 65th day of my exile. That's the same day that she was shown that dark passage of illusion. Once through the illusion, apparently immediately afterwards, I followed him down a dark tunnel. Only his torch lit the way, so I was forced to keep closer to him than I'd like. Though I slipped once on what I could only imagine was some sort of slime, he didn't hear me. He pressed on, moving faster down the tunnel until he was nearly running. I was forced to take long strides to keep pace. For once I minded not being tall, though the tunnel's ceiling was not far above my head. Dwarves had not a woman in my stature in their mind when they carved the dark passage, though it was not so rough-hewn. I wonder if it was those stunted creatures. Finally, the tunnel evened out so that I was no longer felt we were descending. Galahad rushed into a grand chamber that was lit with a familiar green glow. The stench nearly knocked me off my feet. A grand chamber full of those crystals? Ooh, that is strange. With us now waiting for the war to resume, let's see if there are any missions that still need to be accomplished. Oh yes, Pineleaf, I do have a mission for you. It appears that there are still wargs inside of Valzalier. It seems that the most vicious wargs in Elderslade have long stalked those dark passages, but the time has come to drive them out. Nothing shall prove to them the might of the Joruka more clearly than a collection of their hides. You're to travel to Valzalier and collect the hides of the wargs that dwell there. When that is done, I shall see them displayed as a warning to our foes in Elderslade. For the Joruka! For the Gabil Aka! For the Joruka and the Gabil Aka. Not that the Longbeards and the Joruka are at their best terms at the moment, considering some of the shenanigans that we had going over there. I don't know if Durin and the Joruka have found a compromise that they both alike, but we are obviously going to have some dealings that are going to have to be discussed between those two. In the meantime, collecting a few war kites, I hope, will make things a little safer out here as we wait for the war to resume. Work pelts. More work pelts. And I think there are going to be a few more around here, right? They collect everything? Good. Oh! I thought I smelt another warg in the area. Apparently, my smell wasn't good enough in order to find the location. Well, soon I won't have to listen to it either. Too bad. They don't smell any better after you take their pelts. I do wonder where some of these bones came from. Perhaps they were attacking worms? Maybe worms? No, that looks more like aurochs, perhaps? I suppose that's a possibility. It looks like they like to keep them for trophies. Well, I suppose that's typical. How do wargs place trophies up there? Just wondering about that. Do they get goblins to do it for them? I can't see wargs having the manual dexterity to accomplish a feat such as that. But it's interesting that they like to use the rib cages of their kills as beds. Certainly not something that I would have thought of doing. Definitely would not have thought of doing anything like that. Now let's see if I can find more wargs or if I killed them all. No, nothing down that way. How about this away? Down here. Oh yeah, more wargs. This place, well, it's literally a warg's den, I guess, so I guess calling it that would not be too much of a play on words or anything like that. Looks like I've come to the end of the line here. Good. We'll clear this out. I have a feeling, though, that more may find their way in here over time. Well, at least they won't be coming from Gundabad anytime soon, because I don't think much is getting in and out of there for the time being. At least I don't think so. At least I hope not. Do the orcs have another way out? Well, we know that the Frost Horde had absolutely no respect for the orcs. So, they might not care one way or the other whether or not the orcs have to stay in. I think I've taken care of all the wargs. Let's get back to base. At least we're able to deal with the wargs. Of course, we still have other matters that we still must deal with. We must find a plan to get into Gundabad. We must find a plan to get rid of those orcs. We must find a plan to get rid of that ice block. And we need a plan to get rid of Prima? That last bit sounds like a stretch. How will we accomplish any of this? We'll have to answer that when we get to the next part of the Legacy of Durin.